The 2024 World Series is almost here. Hi, I'm Chris Welsh, and 1 year ago, I was at the World Series. Arizona Diamondbacks and Texas Rangers. Not really what everybody was hoping for. If you weren't a Rangers fan or a Diamondback fan, maybe you weren't really that interested. I know MLB was hoping, can we please get a bigger game? Well, guess what? This year, you literally couldn't have had a better matchup than the Los Angeles Dodgers versus the New York Yankees. That is kicking off for us here on Friday. And today, I'm going to talk about my favorite bets. We're going to talk about some series-based bets, and we're also going to talk about Game 1. We're going to go through a litany of them. Plus, we're going to use BettingPros because BettingPros, we have a huge, incredible system for you that you can sign up for. And we're going to tell you about here in just a little bit, where you can get some free access to the amazing premium tools that BettingPros offers for really everything, whether it is betting management to making the best bets possible with the prop cheat sheet and more. We got you covered. So we're going to be going through a ton of different bets here. But what a complete change we've had in a 1 year span. Baseball was probably trembling a little bit. Guardians and Mets would have been great, but this is the World Series of World Series. Now, I know a lot of us, if you're not a Dodger or a Yankee fan, you're like punted into the ocean. But if we're being honest with ourselves, we couldn't have asked for a better matchup. We've got the two MVPs, the two best players in baseball, Ohtani versus Judge, two massive powerhouses. Biggie and Tupac would be proud of us. It is East versus West, and we are going to go through all of it. And I'm glad you guys are going to be joining me. I'm just sad I'm not at the World Series, but you know what? My team wasn't even remotely close. What can you do? All right, so let's start with the series bets because there are a litany of bets across all the books that you can go and check out. And that's a great thing about Championship Series is you're going to have so many more different types of bets than you're going to see anywhere else. So obviously we've got a full outcome winner. We've also got MVP, and I am going to cover at least who I think is the best bet for that. But there are also some like really fun series-based bets that you can play. And I'll tell you across the board, like go have fun with it. There's some amazing like verses, will there be a extra inning game? Will there be a grand slam hit? That's a great thing about Championship Series. But I targeted, when we start off with the series here, two bets across the series that I dig. And number one, we're going to go to most stolen bases in the World Series. Now, it's not the biggest juice. I'm going to be honest with you. You can go to most home runs. That's a super fun one. I mean, if you pick against Ohtani or Judge, it's kind of hard pressed. If I did, by the way, I would be taking Juan Soto if I picked against. So this one of the who will have the most across the World Series might have some of the least juice, but it's my favorite one. So our first bet up here for the World Series is Shohei Ohtani stolen bases. Yes, most stolen bases by a single player will be Shohei Ohtani. This is currently between the almost 2-1, around 160, 170, depending where you look. Now, it's kind of a weird one here because Shohei Ohtani, 16 stolen bases in the month of September, 15 stolen bases in the month of August. Okay, over 30 stolen bases in the last 2 months of the year. So what did he do in the playoffs, Welsh? 0. He had 0 stolen bases so far in the playoffs, which is like, it's kind of mind-boggling, honestly. So, what changes here outside of the grand scope? And I think that's something to take a look at. I think you're going to have an aggressiveness across the board. Now, here's one positive that works in favor of Shohei Ohtani. The Yankees, they're about middle of the pack as far as stolen bases given up per game. They're averaging just under a full stolen base given up per game, both road and home, which is solid because the Dodgers, they've got a different split where they're giving up actually a lot more on the road than they are at home. It's about a 0.3 or, a third of a stolen base difference, which is a pretty big deal. And I think at the end of the day, yes, it is not the biggest money spread, but when you look at these teams, there are also not any massive big stolen base guys. You look at the Yankees and you're handpicking a few players. Anthony Volpe would be a good stolen base guy, but he's got to get on base. Jazz, he would be a great one. He's hitting under 200. Then you go back to the Dodgers, Mookie is stealing a little bit less. At the end of the day, my comfortability with this bet, is taking the player who stole over 50 in Shohei Ohtani. Let's throw out that he has not had any stolen bases in the playoffs. And let's say the World Series, he is going to be hyper aggressive. Now, my second of the unique bets in the series, not all books have these, but sometimes you can get head to head. So in a head to head, looking at sometimes it's hits, RBI, homers are the fun one though. We all love home runs. My favorite head-to-head home run bet. I know everybody in the world is going to want to bet Ohtani versus Judge. Super fun. Have a great time with it. But if you're looking for an edge, I believe the edge is a Teoscar Hernandez versus Jazz Chisholm. That is a matchup that you can find in some places. And it is almost even money. It's about 115 on both sides. I found it. This is actually specifically over on DK, where it was minus 115 to take either side. Now, Teoscar, neither of these players have been hitting really great. Teoscar, though, has 2 home runs so far in the playoffs, where Jazz, he has just 1. Jazz is hitting only 147 in the postseason. So I think I'm going to take the all-star home run champ in Teoscar Hernandez to outperform Jazz Chisholm, hitting a tiny bit higher in the lineup as well. I think there's a fun edge if you're looking for some unique overall series type of bets. But now let's go to the series, my friends. So we got to pick a winner. We got to pick an MVP. But I think one of the best bets now, unfortunately, there's juice involved with this one. You want to get your best plus money bets as much as you can as possible. This one has the worst juiced odds, but there's a reason for it. And I think it's a really, really great play. So when we look at the total series and we're getting out of like player individual matchups, one of the best bets that you can put together is the series over games played at 5.5. The 5.5, it's kind of a must play for me. 4 of the last 5 World Series have gone over 5 games. They've gone to 6 at least. And 7 of the last 10 have also hit this number. Last year, Diamondbacks, unfortunately did not. I was in the 2 losers. I had to sit there and watch as the Texas Rangers celebrated a world championship in front of me at the Diamondback Stadium, and that one did not go 6, but this series is going to go 6. This is a huge, massive matchup where I do think there is an edge on one team, and we'll talk about that here in just a second. But with that edge, there's just huge offensive firepower that's going on. I think going over 5.5 games is an absolute smash. But again, it is pretty juiced up. I think I saw minus 180. So, I mean, usually we would like to talk about like, minus 130s if we're going to like really push the juice. But if you're looking for a full series one and you want to play this a little bit higher as far as like what you bet, over 5.5 games in this series, I think is a smash bet. So now let's take a look at the winner, because I'm going to give you an MVP, but I believe the MVP is tied to the actual winner. So if I give you the MVP, you're going to know who I'm going to pick. This is a really, really tough one. As a Diamondback fan, I guess I'm like, I should hate the Dodgers, but there's a little bit of love for it, I guess, in general for being in the NL. But at the end of the day, I'm going to take the plus money play on the New York Yankees to win the World Series for the overall series bet. It's floating between just even money or maybe plus 105. The Los Angeles Dodgers are floating around 120 to 125. Still a great bet. But listen, the edge to me are the starting pitching, because I think both of these offenses are massive powerhouses. That's really not up for discussion. To be fair, the Dodgers, as far as their bullpen has gone, has been better. Michael Kopech really ended up helping this when Evan Phillips kind of depreciated as far as like his closer value. But the Yankees, to me, have the complete package. 8th best ERA in baseball so far this year at 3.72. They've had the 6th best bullpen ERA in baseball, and more importantly, a 2.56 playoff bullpen, which was 4th best among all teams, and obviously the number one amongst active against them and the Dodgers. There is about it's a little over a half of a run bullpen ERA difference between these two teams. It's over 3 earned runs for the Dodgers, where it's 2.5 for the Yankees. So that's where I'm going with this. I think the pitching is going to be a huge factor. Yes, Yamamoto. I actually thought Yamamoto would start game 1. I like Yamamoto in this series. Jack Flaherty is kind of a wild card. He is starting game 1, but he got blown up in his last start. And then Walker Buehler is the true wild card. Now, maybe the Yankees don't blow you away with everything. I think Gerrit Cole is going to be lights out in this series, but then they're going to be throwing out Carlos Rodon. You're going to see Clark Schmidt and then whatever they do with Luis Gil. But they have been consistent across the board on both sides of what has been really great. So in the playoffs, at the end of the day, pitching does kind of end up winning. The Dodgers are not a slouch, but I think the Yankees do have the advantage, and I think both of these offenses kind of match up. One last thing of why I like the Yankees, because this is something that does work against them. They are going to take the first 2 games on the road. Game 1 is going to be in LA, but the Yankees had the league's best road record amongst all teams. I believe they were the only team to get to 50 wins on the road. So no other team had a better road record. That's why I really like the Yankees being able to take one of these games in the first 2, and then they're going to go back to New York. But if I'm choosing the Yankees, which I am, they're going to have to win this in LA, obviously, unless they do take one and they sweep it. But I like this to go over 5.5, and I think you'll get 2 Gerrit Cole starts in there. So Yankees on the bullpen, they have the advantage. On the starters, they have the advantage. Offense kind of lines up, and this is one of the best road. This is the best road team. It's not one of it. It is the best road team in baseball. So that's why I'm going to go with the plus money play on 2 very, very even teams. So MVP, this is the last of our series bets, and then I'm going to give you guys a couple bets that I like in game 1. But the series MVP, that's probably the most fun of these full season, for full World Series bets that you can do as far as picking the winner. The next one would be the MVP. Aaron Judge makes a lot of sense, but ladies and gentlemen, I love Juan Soto in this. Juan Soto has been having an absolute run in the playoffs. He's hitting .333, 3 homers. He has as many walks as strikeouts. And if I'm going to back the Yankees, this has been their MVP, at least in the playoffs. Aaron Judge, obviously the regular season MVP, but he has struggled, and he has had some of his, balances throughout this entire playoff of kind of getting going. Now, I will tell you, and we're going to talk about it in a second, LA is a pretty good destination for him to hit, at least so far as it's gone. But this is a legacy series to me for Juan Soto. It's great odds. It's plus 500. There might even be a little bit more. You might be able to find like 550. I think from a home run, I think from an RBI standpoint, he's been hitting, like I said, hitting over .333. I think he is going to help lead this team. So not only for the series win, but he takes the MVP, and it's really great odds. Like I said, 5-1 for a player that really does truly belong in the same camp as Shohei Ohtani and Aaron Judge. He's just maybe this slight notch down. You're going to have to pay up for them for MVP. Juan Soto's going to take it down, and he's going to take down a ton of money. All right, so those are some series bets that I like. Let's talk about game 1, though, because there are some edges, and we're even going to look at betting pros. But first, if you guys want your opportunity to take advantage of all of Betting Pros premium features, I have an offer for you. Download the free Betting Pros app for iOS or Android. Then, with the Sportsbook Sync, automatically track your bets across all major sportsbooks in one spot. You can easily monitor your bet performance by sport and bet type, which I love to do, including game picks, props, and parlays. So at the end of the day, you can make your bets and be like, oh, I'm a better run line guy, or I'm really good at Nerfies, or I'm a prop guy. You can also go in and create betting systems to find winning trends and profitable opportunities like, Yankees on the road at night. You can play around with those. You can track line movement and get notified when your preferred odds are available with custom line alerts. Now, here's the offer. Use promo code FPFREE and you can unlock 1 month of Betting Pros Premium for free. So friends, you can unlock the premium features to Betting Pros for the entire MLB World Series right now at no cost. And if you like it, Betting Pros got you hooked up on all the sports, and you can kind of keep going with it. But you get 1 month free of premium Betting Pros through the entire MLB World Series. So download it today. Go to fantasypros.com/bettingpros or your app store, Betting Pros app, and use promo code FPFREE. Okay, let's talk about game 1 because there's a million bets to kind of play around with. I did think that we might see Yamamoto as the game 1 starter, and ends up being Jack Flaherty, which I'm going to tell you, does throw a tiny little bit of a wrench in. It's a little bit like, he had one really good game. He got blown up in the last game. So where does this go? I got to tell you, a bet that I loved when I did think it was Yamamoto, and I still don't hate, is the Nerfy. Got to play the Nerfy. In game one of this series, you're not getting bad odds. It's around minus 125. Now, here's the negative. Both of these teams are like in the top 10 of runs scored in the first inning. They're around a 60 to 65% no-run first inning. And I know that sounds really great, but like the teams you really like to hit, they're around 70. But why I like this one, these teams are going to be jacked up. I think we are going to get that extra velo. I think that first inning, everything's going to be pumping, big strikes, hitters trying to swing through. They've had this time and rest off. There's a little bit of vibe, I suppose, that's going on with it because, again, I think some of the math is going to tell you that both of these teams do score early, but getting Gerrit Cole, I think Gerrit Cole's Flaherty is the wild card. I think Gerrit Cole is going to be able to manage this. Flaherty, if we see that first series Flaherty, he's going to shut it down. We're going to get no runs in the first inning, minus 125. That's pretty good. I mean, I guess you are going to get relatively those type of odds when a Yankee or Dodger matchup is out there. So I like the Nerfy. A prop bet that I really like is Aaron Judge. Aaron Judge total bases 1.5 over plus money. That 100 or better. You guys can go to Betting Pros. You can check out the prop analyzer and the prop cheat sheet. You can also check out where it's different across books. So it'll show you all of the books and where you can get the best odds if you want to shop around. But it's around plus, you're going to find a plus money or better in any single spot. Now, Judge has started to ramp up after a slow start to the playoffs. But if you look at splits so far this season, against the Dodgers, in a smaller-ish sample size, hitting 636 against the Dodgers so far this year. So the total base over for Aaron Judge in game one, I really like. Plus, we do have that caveat of like, Jack Flaherty was not super great in his last start. So I think that is a play. I've already put it down. Aaron Judge total bases 1.5 over. We're not done because I'm going to give you guys a couple Betting Pros plays. And one of these I am locking in already. I locked in. It is the number one on the prop cheat sheet over on Betting Pros. And it'll take the projections. It'll tell you between the projections and how it's matched up over previous weeks. And it'll give you ratings and it'll say, this is the best one. And they do it all season long. So these are just a couple of the Betting Pros plays that you guys can go and check out. But I wanted to tell you, these are the top two. Gerrit Cole strikeouts in game one. Betting Pros projections, 6.5. The number that's out publicly, 4.5. There's a little bit of juice on it, but I'm down with it. Now, one of the reasons why this one is kind of in flux, projections versus some of that juice, he did have 4 strikeouts across his 3 last starts, but those were tough matchups. Guardians do not strike out. Royals are a really tough one as well. Dodgers are a little bit more in the middle as far as strikeouts go. And I think Gerrit Cole, like I said, will be pumping. It's 4.5. His total outs are set at 15.5. That's key. So that is a projection of him going over 5 innings, which he has done in 2 of his last 3 playoff games. And that's why I really like the 4.5. Even if it's juiced up a little bit, this is a great play on the Betting Pros app. Again, go and check that out. But that is a projection play from Betting Pros that I like. And then the number 2 here is Gleyber Torres. Total base over 0.5. Also, go and check out where you can get some good plus money plays on this. His projection, 2.1. He has hit this in 8 of 15 games, but more importantly, 4 of his last 6 games, and 3 of those 5 were on the road. So Gleyber Torres has been doing this as of recent. They're going to be playing on the road. He's hit that in 3 of his last 5. I would say this is a nice single piece or maybe a really good piece to put as far as a same game parlay. We've also got a same game parlay tool that you can check out on Betting Pros using that FP free premium to get access to all of it. I think Judge, I think Soto, and maybe you can take this, are all really good same game parlay pieces you could put together. I'm not trying to dismiss any Dodgers, Shohei Ohtani, Mookie Betts. Taking the guys at the kind of tippy top might make sense. Play around with the same game parlay, but a good piece to it might be Gleyber Torres because there's a wide gap on the projections versus what is out there. Friends, those are some World Series bets for you. We talked about the series. We talked about game 1. I hope those are helpful. If you've got your own and you're on the YouTube side, post them below. Let's see what your best bets for the series and for game 1 are, because Game 2 is going to be right around the corner. You could do that as well. If you guys are listening on a podcast side, make sure you go and check it out. Betting Pros or youtube.com/bettingpros to check out all the great content that we have there. Love to hear from you, and hopefully this helped you out. You guys can find me on Betting Pros at bettingpros.com/Welsh. If you download the app, you can follow and check out my bets, plus all the other great people out there. We've got articles, and we got this brand new feature on the Betting Pros app as well with a feed of all these customized bets. It's really great. Go and check it out for yourself. Thank you guys so much for hanging out. Enjoy the World Series, and I'll talk to you on the other side right here on Betting Pros.